The end-of-season press conference with Chris Grier and Mike McDaniel left a lot to unpack, but one point stood out like a flashing red light. McDaniel admitted that some players were late to meetings and didn't show up for off-season workouts. That's a big problem. Sure, he said he fined them, but let's be real, these fines barely make a dent for guys pulling in millions. It's more of a slap on the wrist than a wake-up call. The question is, what's McDaniel going to do about it? Think about it. This isn't just about lateness or missed workouts, it's about a culture problem. Discipline is slipping. And here's where the alarms really start ringing. When Brian Flores was running the show, discipline was non-negotiable. Say what you will about his style, tough, no nonsense, maybe even harsh at times, but it worked. Players knew there were consequences. With McDaniel, it feels like the pendulum swung too far the other way. Instead of structure, there's leniency. Instead of accountability, there's tolerance. And now, it's catching up with the team. McDaniel has to make a choice. Does he double down on being the player's coach, risking further chaos? Or does he tighten the reins and start holding players accountable in ways they'll actually feel? Bench them. Suspend them. If the message doesn't get through, show them the door. This isn't about being mean, it's about setting a standard. If the Dolphins want to be contenders, they can't have players showing up whenever they feel like it. Let's not ignore the bigger picture. McDaniel's job is on the line. After 3 seasons, the clock is ticking, and the excuses are running out. You can't just hope things fix themselves. Look at NFL history. Bill Parcells almost got fired after his first season with the Giants, but he didn't sit around and wait for change. He got tougher. He made it clear that the old way of doing things wasn't going to fly anymore. Players either stepped up or got out of the way. That's the kind of leadership Miami needs right now. But here's the kicker, can McDaniel even do that? Changing your approach 3 years in is no small feat. Players already know who he is, friendly, approachable, not the kind of guy who yells or lays down the hammer. If he suddenly tries to be the disciplinarian, will they take him seriously? Or worse, will they tune him out completely? That's the risk he's running. Once you've set a tone, it's hard to reverse course. What makes this situation even trickier is the kind of balance required. It's not just about being tough, it's about knowing when to push and when to pull back. Great coaches can do both. They can be demanding without being demeaning, supportive without being soft. That's a rare skill set. Take a college coach like Fran Brown. Sure, it's a different level of football, but he's a great example. He's tough, he'll call out anyone, from assistant coaches to his starting quarterback, if they're not doing their jobs. But he's also compassionate. Players know he's hard on them because he cares. That kind of leadership resonates. It inspires respect and effort. The Dolphins need that kind of presence, but McDaniel has yet to show he can provide it. And honestly, it's not just about him. The entire locker room needs a cultural reset. Veterans, team captains, leaders, everyone needs to step up. If lateness and poor attendance are issues, it's not just the head coach's fault. Players need to hold each other accountable. The best teams don't just rely on their coaches to set the tone. They police themselves. And let's not pretend this problem is new. Teams with discipline issues rarely succeed long-term. The Dolphins have a solid foundation of talent, but talent alone doesn't win championships. It takes focus, preparation, and a commitment to excellence. If guys are already cutting corners in the off-season, what happens when the season gets tough? Will they dig deep, or will they fold under pressure? McDaniel can't afford to wait and find out. He needs to set the tone early this off-season. No more excuses, no more half measures. If someone's late, they sit. If someone doesn't show up ready to work, they're out. It's harsh, but it's necessary. The team needs to see that there are consequences for letting everyone else down. That's how you build respect. This past season should serve as a wake-up call, not just for McDaniel, but for the entire organization. Back-to-back playoff appearances were nice, but success breeds complacency if you're not careful. The Dolphins didn't just hit a bump in the road this year, they veered off course. Now it's up to McDaniel to steer them back. But here's the thing, does he even see it that way? His comments at the press conference were telling, but were they enough? Acknowledging the problem is one thing, fixing it is another. And let's not sugarcoat it, this isn't going to be an easy fix. It's one thing to say you'll be tougher on players. It's another to follow through, especially when you've spent years building relationships based on a different approach.